Hello folks, let me get a couple things ready here. I'm sorry I'm a little late today, but better late than never, I guess. We're going to be doing, oh shucks, I forgot to bring hello everybody, welcome. This is Arleen. We're going to be doing a Santa. I left the other Santa in the shop, but I'm going to show you a little bit of the same thing that we're going to do and a couple of new things. All right, so we're going to just start real quick. We're going to start with the hat. This is going to be a Santa with some feet in front of him for a change. Let's see if I have a couple here that look like that. I do. I started another one a few days ago, and I'm going to put a little cardinal in front with the feet sticking in the front. Hello. No, it's not snowing here, and no, I didn't get the fire alarms changed. The smoke detector. It's still beeping. I thought I got rid of the one, and it's still beeping. So I don't know what's wrong with it. But anyway, I forgot to bring the other Santa from the shop, and I'm going to try to get as far as I can today. My arm has been a little sore this past week. I actually did some raking this week, and I think it aggravated it some, but I had to get the leaves done. So, hi Jen and Jack. So we're going to kind of go off of this one, but we're going to also do something a little different than on the other one. We're going to put the feet at the bottom like before. We're going to have it with a package in the front. And we're going to bring his tassel to the front, and I'll show you what that looks like. Right here is the tassel, okay? Instead of putting it on the side like I normally do, with like this, where you can get the full circle pretty well, it's going to look a little flat. And it's going to be a little different, but it will have the same effect. This is going to be a little cardinal that a Santa's holding. I'm going to get into a few of those later on. But let's get started on this. If I don't finish it today, we'll probably finish it tomorrow night, which is Wednesday night. And everything will be posted on Facebook. So let's get going here. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to figure out where the top is, and I would say that's about a little more than a ½ inch down, maybe a little bit better. Hello, Milton and Jim. And then we're going to kind of bring this up around, take this down a little ways. That's probably about right. And I try to measure on both sides. I usually have this all marked up. I'm not like one of these people that can get everything organized way ahead of time. I wish I was, but I'm not. So, been kind of busy the last few days. But like I said, it depends how far I can get today with it. There's a lot to do with this Santa. The piece of wood we're working with is 3.5 inches high by 1.5 by 1.5. So it's going to be a little bit longer than our ornament series is an inch shorter. So I usually try to get the hat all situated first. And we'll take it from there. It's supposed to snow here in Honeybrook tomorrow, so we'll see what happens tomorrow. So let's start with that. We're going to also put feet in the front instead of the sides. Okay, that's something new. Hello, Mark. Howdy to you. And instead of on the side like this. And we're also going to change the tassel. The tassel's going to come up and around here instead of over here. Oh, you're welcome, Christine. Like I said, if you miss today or tomorrow, if I take it into tomorrow, I will have it on Facebook later. I mean on YouTube. I'll get it right. Time for hot chocolate today. with a little taste of mint, which is great. Well, hang on just a second. Let's see if I can get rid of some of this stuff here. I don't want everything dinging and donging when I'm trying to teach. So, in case somebody calls. Okay. So, hello, Rich. Did you use that butternut yet? I find it really grainy. It is easy to cut, but it's a little different. If you're going to leave it natural, it's a nice wood to use. All right, so let's get started here. Let me find a knife to start with. Boom, here we go. Yeah. All right, so I'm going to do the top of the hat first, as I normally do. Yeah, it is different, isn't it? I thought it is, and I prefer the basswood. And I usually paint them anyway, so it's not an issue to use the basswood. Okay, I do each corner like I normally do, and I don't have any... I'm so disorganized today, folks. I'm sorry. I gotta put something on my thumb here. Hang on just a second. I had somebody come out and price taking down 2 larger trees here, and they're coming next week to do the tree in the front of the house, Jen and Jack, and the tree next to the deck, the fir tree and the cedar tree. So that should be interesting. I thought, alright, so we're going to just follow this line with our V-tool, as I usually do for the hat. Hello, Marianne. You're very welcome. This might take a little longer than our normal quick things here, but if I don't finish it tonight, I will finish it tomorrow night. Alright, so now I can see this is a little different. For some reason, I can't always get this the way I want it, so I'm going to make that a little wider. Otherwise, the eye is not going to work in that very well. Alright, so now I'm going to take my knife and I'm going to recut all that. And I forgot the piece I was going to show you. It is in my shop as we speak. So, so much for that idea. But it's going to be similar to this size. Alright. Alright, so now I'm going to undercut up towards the hat. This one's going to have holding a package is what the other one was doing. I am going to start having them hold a little cardinal. That's what I'm working on this one right here. And this little guy here, this little ornament one, once I paint it, you'll see it stand out a lot more. So I think that would be pretty cool. Something new I want to do with a couple of Santas and things, so stay tuned. I will probably do a snowman in January, doing that, holding a bird or two. All right, that's what we want to do. Now we're also going to put our tassel is going to be different. This is the first time I'm showing you this, so what I do is I make a circle right about here, up to the edge, and back and around. I think that's a nice size. Maybe a little bit bigger. Okay, and then I'm going to have his tassel slide over to this side. Okay, and this one in the front, on this flat portion here, you're just going to make a little loop here. Just like so. Or maybe a little bit lower. Okay? Or just, we'll find out when we start. But I like to use a V-tool when I do this. So I'm going to cut this out, especially the circle first. And when I cut things out with the V-tool and it circles, I usually move my block of wood more than I use my hand. And it's a little hard for me to turn it because of my wrist, but see how far I can get here. The therapy is going quite well. As I was saying earlier, I think I screwed it up a lot by raking leaves last week. So, yeah, I could probably put on the hat or have him hold it. Christine, you mean the snowman? Either way. So now I'm going to take my other knife and I'm going to just undercut this a little bit. Alright, till there. Alright, just like so. Then I'm going to take this up and around and cut it out. There we go. And the same thing right here. We're just going, we can always chop this off first. Take this corner off. That will help you distinguish how far you can go with this. We're going to drop this down just a tad. Alright, we're just going to bring this down and around, just like so. And we're going to bring it down and around to just to the edge. You don't want to go off the edge here. And same thing over here, up to the edge of the hat, where the brim is. That's it. Okay, and then you're going to undercut underneath, just like so. Hello everybody, welcome, welcome. I hope you're all getting ready for Christmas. I know it's, we're supposed to get snow tomorrow. Not a lot, maybe an inch or so. I know my sister in Canada had some snow. I think Jenny and Jack, you have some snow up there laying around. Okay, so that's the first side. And when my sister went back home last week, she ran into some snow up in Kingston, down the 401 to where her home was. Oh, no snow yet. Wow. Well, it's been weird. Yesterday was up near the 60s. Today was 50, and tomorrow it's supposed to snow. Then it's supposed to go back up to 60 again, or 55 or so. Now I'm going to just trim the hat down a little bit, as you can see. The back side of the hat. All the hats are pretty well the same, folks. Just the tassel is different. If you're doing the critter, you're just making a point instead. But they're all basically the same. So we're going to just chop that off. And we're going to chop this off. Wow. 20 inches of snow? Or you mean 20 degrees. Okay. Yeah. We get nailed at least once down here or twice. Not too often. Alright, see how it's coming along? This is sticking out. So what we're going to do here with this part of the hat. No thanks, Mark. I remember the one year we had a lot of snow here, and I kept telling my sister, come pick up your snow, because she lived in Canada. And that was kind of the joke that year. We had more snow than they did. But no, you can keep it. I'm not fond of driving in it or plowing it. Even though I will plow it, I do have to plow it. Okay, so that's pretty well the hat for now. Now we're going to clean it up a little bit. I'm going to start shaving it down a little bit more. Remember, you want to get all your rough wood off, because if you don't, it's going to look different when you paint it. Even with acrylic, it will make it look darker. If it's not all smoothly cut, you can go ahead and, I don't sand anything, because if you sand it not right in one area, and really you want to see the knife marks. You know, all these have not been sanded. You can see a little bit of a knife mark on each one, you know, but that's just, this piece of wood is nice and soft for me today to carve for you guys. I tried to find one that was nice and white and easier to carve for me to hang on to today. So we're just going to clean all this off. There you go. I'm going to clean this. I'm going to have this tilting more, a little bit more, to round this off a little bit more at the top. Black Friday was certainly a disappointment. It wasn't as busy as sometimes, or the deals were. I don't think the deals were there. But you had to look in the right spot. And the rumba that I bought for doing the floors, because I have a tendency of dragging these chips all over the place. They either hang on my clothes and I don't realize it. Next thing I know, I see a chip here and a chip there. So I bought an iHome rumba. Well, it's a rumba. It's not a rumba brand, but robotic vacuum cleaner. I really love it. It picks up all the chips. I can tell it to do a certain area versus something else, and so that's really cool. So when I'm done here, I'll run it, and I have a place called my carving area here, so it will just do my carving area, and it will pick up all the chips. Now, mind you, I try to keep most of the chips on the table, but sometimes they fall off yet, and it's just, I'm going to round these corners off a little bit. Let's bring this down a little bit. And it really is a nice feature to a house. And people say, well, does it really pick up stuff? Oh, yes, it does. Absolutely. And it's really, really cool. So I'm going to stop there for right now. We're going to start on the nose, and we're going to figure out where to fit everything. So down here, we're going to have his arms coming down. Okay, so this is going to be down this way. And we're going to figure out where his beard's going to be, which is right there. See how that looks from one side to the other. Alright, and now right here I'm going to have the top of the, I'm putting the top of the bow of the package. So I'm going to put a line across, just like so. Alright, and I'm going to put a line down. You know what, I might just do it up to his feet. There we go. Why don't we do that? I think that will work out really nice. So let's do it up to his foot there. And see if we can match this a little bit better. There we go. So his arms are going to come down a little bit further. And the arms are going to be right here. Okay? So that's going to be the cuff right in there. And the same thing over here. We're just going to put a line across to the foot. I think that will work out really well. And then we're going to bring this up and around to the back side for his little elbow. And we're going to have this come down a little further. There we go. Let's see if that's the same. I always measure with my finger and all that. So, yeah, that looks good. That looks real good. Okay, so we pretty well have it all mapped out as far as the bottom is concerned. Now we're going to put his nose in. And remember what I try to tell people. If you want the cute factor on a carving, you want big eyes, big nose. Usually works nicely. So I'm going to try to match this up a little bit more. And okay. Now let's see if we have that pretty well close to where I want it to be. I know the eye isn't going to be too big here, so let me just see if I can swing that out just a tiny, tiny bit. Now that let's push this out. It just gives me a little bit more room for the eye. So you can always cut it a little bit higher if you have to, if it doesn't look quite right, which I'm doing right now. And it's okay if that ball is hanging over a little bit. What I'm going to do here, I might just cut that a little bit in. Okay, that looks good. Alright, so let me see here. It's hard to you know, I don't have this right close to my face like I normally do when I carve, so it's a little bit different when I do it for you guys. But I think since it's Christmas, we'll do some Santas, a couple of different things. Okay, let's see. So when you do the nose, again. When you do the nose, you don't want to cut it in like this because you'll cut into the nose. You always want to make it parallel with the corner. So when you go down, you want to try to keep it parallel to the corner. You don't want to go in this way when you make the turn. You don't want to go up this way when you make the turn. You want to make sure that when you do this, it is parallel with that corner. So I'm going to try to, well, let me do the bottom part first. That usually works better for me. I usually try to just chip some of this out ahead of time. Okay. And I try to go as deep as wide as the, just a little bit more on the sides, not completely from the center. It turns here in the corner a little bit. So you're going to go up here and you're going to go parallel, okay, parallel. And you're going to bring that down and around. You're better off, and I'm going to tell you this now, you're better off when you're making that turn to face it out than face it in, okay? That's the trick to that. And then we're going to take a little more out at the top because this is your deepest part is your eye, okay? And we'll he's got a hook nose there, but hang on just a second. Alright, so what we're going to do is just clean this out a little bit, very carefully. You don't want to be digging into the nose. You want to be very careful when you do that. Alright, so I'm going to bring this in just a tiny bit yet. Give it a little bit of a slant there. Now I'm going to go to the other side. Now, I turn it upside down when I do the other side. It's just easier for me. And I'm going to go down and around and back up. See, it's parallel. It's parallel to that corner. Okay, you can see I have the knife. It's parallel to that corner. It's really important. Otherwise, your nose is really going to be short and skinny. And we don't want skinny noses. We want nice, big, chunky noses. Now, I can make it a little bit thinner at the top here if I need a little more room for the eye. That's okay. I'm going to scoop this out now a little bit and start rounding it and scooping it down as we go. Okay. And, all right. Let me take a look back here for a second because I can just see it a little bit better here. Let me just cut it a little bit more. Okay. All right, so that side's pretty well deep enough. We're going to do this side here a little bit more. And I'm just going to take it up just a tiny bit. It's important to get these eyes deep enough. Okay, there we go. Now I'll clean this up. Yes, I do. I have, this size is called the Sitting Series. And somebody asked if I have these size blocks on my website. I have it out in my store, Carvers Woodshop online. You can type that into the Google. It should take you right to the Square store that I have. And you'll be able to see that you can buy, I think, 11 of these for $39 with shipping and everything included, anywhere in the 48 states. Canada, it's definitely higher to ship it to Canada. And somebody asked if when I do a design on a new piece, do you draw it out on paper first? No, I don't. I just kind of play with it with it on the wood. I draw it out in the wood, and that's pretty well it. Okay, so I'm going to go up here, and I'm going to chop the top part of where this bow is going to be. All right. The next thing I'm going to do is take my Hang on just a second, folks. My arm needs a little break right now. Hang on. All right. We're going to just take the V tool and we're going to cut out where his beard's going to be. Okay? There's one, and we'll do the other one a little bit away from that package that we have there. We're going to do that with the knife. So we're going to go straight across with the knife here, just a little bit. We're not going to go too crazy here with it. And you're going to cut right across. You're doing a stop cut. A stop cut all the way across. Then you're going to do another stop cut, again parallel to the corner. Hello, Jim and Beth. Down to there, okay? Because the foot's going to just down to there, okay? Now, meanwhile, I'm going to cut the foot out next with, yes, you're right, Jim. Better late than never. I agree with that. We're going to follow this foot out, and we're just going to cut this out. And it's going to be kind of sandwiched behind the foot a little bit, just like so. We're putting the foot in the front for a change instead of on the side. It's a little more of a challenge when you work on a flat surface. For instance, this is really not going to be as rounded as the ones that you do on the side. It's more going to be the visual look of a relief carving. So you're not going to get quite the depth that you would when you're doing it this way. So just to let you know, if you're trying to make it a perfect round circle, it's not going to happen. It will be more flat, but it will give you the illusion that it's round and carved in there. I was doing another one here. I never finished this one. I got tired of, my arm got tired of carving the other night, so I stopped. But we're doing the feet in the front, just like this. All right. I forgot to bring the Santa that I have posted, what we're going to do, but this is pretty well the same thing. So I'm pretty close to what we did there on that one. So, all right. So that's how that foot looks a little bit more. So what I want to do with the foot is I'm going to recut it on both sides. You're just going to do a nice deep stop cut on both of the feet of the boots here. You notice I have it leaning outward a little bit. Alright, so now when I do this corner, I should be able to pop that right out. Pretty close. Now, okay, just like so. Same thing over here. You did it over here on one side. We go a little deeper going in straight. Let me see if I can get that same thing. I can feel it release already. And then just take my knife. I was hoping to resume classes here at the farm in maybe February or March, but I'm going to the Lancaster Carving Club show that they have, the Lancaster Carving Show, and that's going to be in March. So I plan to be there. I just sent in my money for the tables, and we'll see how it goes. We'll see how this new variant's going to affect things, or if it's not going to affect things, we'll see. But I plan to be there. Hello, Lori. If you're watching on YouTube, this is live on Facebook, and I load it to YouTube later. So if you hear me saying hello and answering questions, I can see people coming and going. Okay, so we're just going to cut this out kind of deep and have a nice deep area there for the beard. All right, that's nice and deep. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to cut. We already cut across here for the gift that he's holding. His hands are going to be holding behind it, not around it. So, all right, now you see where the top is here. We're going to cut it follow that little circle I made earlier, and we're going to take that down to the side of the package. You're going to have to cut that corner out to clean it out. There we go. So good to have a nice sharp knife on hand. I'll tell you, you can pretty well go in any direction within reason, but it does help. Okay, so there's our package. We're going to round this off a tiny bit, take that hard edge off of there, and that looks pretty good. So now the foot, we already took our knife and did our cutting around the foot. So what you want to do is the same thing with the illusion with this. You're not going to be able to make it completely stick out. Now, if you want to cut out a piece of wood and have it larger on the bottom here, you can, but I haven't done that yet. I might develop a different way of doing it later. But right now, this is the way I've been doing it. So you just want to cut it out like so, okay? And you're going to cut out the other side as well. I already pre-cut that with a stop cut. If it doesn't look deep enough, you can go a little bit deeper, but I wouldn't go too much further than that. And you'll see why in a second. Thank you. I wondered if the videos have been better. I put a different router in the house that I could reach across the street with the farm. And the router and the modem are separate, and I can reach pretty well anywhere around the farm with it, within reason, because I put up some cameras and things, and it does a phenomenal job. So I was very happy with it. It's a network mesh, they call it. So I hope that it's not stopping and going as much as it did in the past. Now we're going to kind of take out his elbows right here. So we're going to just bring this down. We're just going to notch a piece out here real quick. We might finish this one tonight. We'll see. I'm holding up pretty good tonight. Amazing what Tylenol can do. Yes. So we have a little elbow here. We're going to just take our little V tool and we're just going to go right up to the hat on both sides. One looks a little bigger than the other, but that's okay. I'm not worried about that. Alright. Now, the same thing here. I want to go down to the foot. So we're just going to do a little cut like so. And we're going to follow our line over here the same way. Just very carefully. You don't want to jab your foot too much there. So, yeah, I couldn't believe I was doing leaves in the middle of, well, the beginning of December. And I don't know what good it did because we had a terrible windy day the other day, like 30-mile-an-hour winds. And, well, some of them reappeared. I try to chop them up with a lawnmower is what I do. I don't gather them, I just chop them to death. Okay, so that looks really good. I'm going to leave that alone for now. We're going to do the other side. Okay, now here I'm going to take out a little bit more in the corner here. I don't want it that uneven, but it's nice to be able to push with my thumbs again. Alright, hang on just a second. Last swig of my hot peppermint chocolate cocoa. Alright. So, I'm going to round this off a little bit. If you have any questions, I'll try to answer them as I see them. I only see a couple of names at a time when I'm doing this pop up, and if it scrolls over too far, I won't be able to see your question. It lets me know when people come in and people go back out of the room. And that's constantly changing. Alright, so now we have that pretty well done the way I want it to be for now. Let's take this down a little bit more. You know, I'll critique it a little bit more when I get offline later on. But now, let's continue with the face. I'm going to put the eye right there. Put the other eye over here. A little bit lower. Okay. And then, let's do the eyes first. Now, I use the knife lately. I'm going to spray it. Of course, I don't have to spray here either. Oh, what a fine day. Let's see here. Okay. Let's see if I can spray this a little bit. Alright. One. I cut the eye, and I always do it from the inside. Okay? Always from the inside. Alright. Let me do it back here, because I hardly can see what I'm doing right there. Alright, so that's one eye. Alright, I'll round that up a little bit more when I'm offline. It's just a little easier that way. Give you the basics here. Okay, and now we're going to take off that little hard edge right there. Alright, now we're going to round off the hard edge on the hat, on the tassel. And of course, you want to make sure you take everything off of there, so when you paint it, it doesn't look darker. Usually, if you do the white, you don't have quite that problem. It's when you do your reds and your blacks and, you know, your blue and greens. See how it looks rounded? That's all you need is a little bit of round, you know, taking off those hard edges really makes a big difference. Now here I'm going to put it a little deeper right there. Usually I like it a little deeper right where the spray softens up the wood. Actually, this is 100% or the 70% rubbing alcohol. I carry this sometimes for my hands when I'm out. This is all I have right now. Usually I put 50 and 50. 50% water, 50% rubbing alcohol. And when you spray it on there, it just softens up the wood really, really nicely. So, alright, so there's the two eyes, there's the tassel. Now, I'm going to clean this off a little bit and bring this down just a tiny bit, yep. You want to spray it lightly. You don't want to go crazy when you spray it because you don't want it to check or to start cracking, because it can do that at the top. I've had it where I saw 3 or 4 cracks and I just let it go for a day or so. I respray it and then I let it go, and by the time it clears up in a couple of days, usually those cracks are gone. If they're not, you can always put a couple of, widen them a little bit and put a one of the chips in, and then once you tap the chip in, cut it across, you won't know anything different. So I'm just going to tidy up here a little bit. Now, let's see where the cheeks go in next. So I'm going to try to take all this rough stuff off of here. We're going to round the nose up a little bit as we go. I usually spray it a lot of times when it's something really delicate. Sometimes if you're doing something really super small, you can spray it. But the other trick to that, folks, is make sure that you have an extremely sharp knife when you do it. Because if you don't, you're going to just be ripping it apart. And the spraying's not going to help you cut it. It's having a sharp knife will cut it. All the spray does is soften it up. So, and to make it a little easier to cut it up. Okay, so there we go with that. Whoops, sorry, didn't mean to knock him over. I'm going to try to get rid of this rough stuff before I go any further, just so I don't have to fuss with it later. Just taking slivers off. You don't have to take chunks out. Just slowly go over it and do a nice fresh cut on it. It's usually all you need. Once I start classes, I'll let you know. Once I feel a little more comfortable with things. The sales on Saturday have been okay. I've had, everybody's been very cooperative with putting on a mask coming in, and I appreciate that a lot. I really do. So I rounded off the bow, and so what I do with the bow is I just put a little, so it looks like it's two, I don't have anything here to show you that, but I separate the two. So what I do is just, like that's the back side of another bow when I do that. So let's just cut this out right now. Give you an idea how that looks. See, it looks like one behind the other. And then the front, I'll show you what I do with that in a second here. I'm going to hop around here a little bit. This is going to be the cheek. Okay. You want them to look about the same. You don't want a high cheek and a low cheek. So let's see how that looks. Okay, that looks good. I'm going to use my V-tool for that. And we're going just to slightly make the indentations with this, and then we'll finish it up with the knife. I'm going to do the rest of the beard as well. And it just makes it a little easier. And you notice that I do it towards the edge. I don't try to go from here to there with this because it doesn't get flush up against the nose. So, so we're just going to cut it a little bit deeper, and we're going to cut this down into the beard. Just like so. There you go. There's one cheek. And I'll be open this Saturday again, and next Saturday will be my last hurrah, and then it will be till next year, and maybe some extra shows next year. We'll see. We'll see what 2022 comes up with. I'm so surprised we're almost through 21. Some ways it was very long, and other ways it was very short. I'm just rounding those cheeks a little bit more. Alright, there we go. Now, the beard and the other part. So what I usually do is I go from here and I try to scoop it down and see where I want to go here. That's 1/2. And I try to give me an idea how far I can go down here. Up a little bit more. See, that doesn't look quite even to me, so that side's a little down than this one, so I'm not going to worry about it too much. That's the beauty of doing these things. There's no right or wrong way of doing things. You do it any way you want to do it. Again, I'll take my little V-tool, and I'll just start here where the mouth starts, and I'll go over to there. I'll do the same thing over here. It just makes it easier than cutting just a straight line. It gives me a better idea where things are. Yes, Joanne, I've started carving again. I've been carving kind of all along with a vise and that, and I'll tell you, that was a different experience, but yeah, I'm back at it. So, I'm going to cut away from the beard, like the angle of the V-tool. I do that a lot. And then I'll come this way and come down and around. Alright. Right here in the center, We're going to hang on to this and we're going to just poke it on both sides, and we're going to do a big triangular cut, a V cut. And if we did it right and deep enough, it should pop right out, just like so. Alright. Okay, now I'm going to undercut the mustache itself. There we go. And we're going to undercut the mustache over here from the beard. And we're going to round this up just a tiny bit. Give it more of a softer look, a softer flow from one to the other. Alright, hang on just a second. That peppermint and hot chocolate is heavenly. It's wonderful. Alright, now we're going to bring down this little bit of this mouth. It's sticking out a little too far for my liking. So we're going to bring this down a little bit. And we're going to take the little V tool again. We're just going to go about 1/16 of an inch or so underneath. And we're going to go right up to that. Turn around and go the other way to get his lip in there. There we go. A lot of times I'll just do a small little cut underneath and undercut it. Now you want to be real careful when you do this because you don't want to cut the lip off, you know, but there we go. Alright, so that's pretty well done. Alright, so let me see what else I have to do here. Just let me cut that a little further here, just a little bit more. Round this off a little bit. There we go. And round this off. Alright, back here, I'm going to wet it a little bit. Just make it a little bit easier. Okay. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to undercut up to the hat here. Because it's like a robe. He's not sitting or anything. Next week we'll do something else again. I think related to Christmas. And that will be the last time, I think, well, that will be the last time before Christmas. So I hope you have all your carvings done for everybody that you wanted to get carvings done for. Now, I'm going to scoop this out a little bit because it's like a robe. You know, it's just going to have a little more. Okay. So, the other thing we're going to do is we're going to round off his elbows a little bit here. Now, I did some folds in his coat up around, so we're going to show you how to do that. Looks like the robe is draping over their shoes. I wish I had the other one here. I could look at it a little better to show you. But if you take a look at the picture that I have posted, you'll be able to see that. So that's how far we've gotten already. Again, with the shoes, we're going to do the same thing like we did with the tassel. We're just going to bring it down a little bit and take off that hard edge, that square edge, and we're going to bring this in just a tiny bit because we're going to put a little sole on that shoe with the V tool when we get done. So you see how it looks a little more rounded? So we're just going to take a little bit off the bottom again, and we're going to take that off right there and up here, and you're going to take all this rough stuff off very carefully and just kind of round it a little bit more. So it looks like a little dome. If that's the right word to use, I'm not sure. So again, I'm going to take all this rough stuff off of the arms, and we're going to give it some, I'm going to do a little touches on it here in a second here. You'll see. what we'll do here. So that one's pretty well rounded and done. We're going to go down over here. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to round this off a little bit and take off all this rough stuff here. And there we go. All right, so that should look pretty similar. All right, so far it's coming along okay. So the next thing we've got to do, a few things yet, we're going to put, his hand is behind the package, so we're going to make his hands a little shorter. All right. And I take a little V-tool. I'm going to go up a little higher because I don't want to hit that. I don't want it too close to that package, so. Okay. Let's do it this way first. You notice I jump around a lot with carving. I'll do one section. I used to always do the face first. Sometimes I don't do that anymore. I used to always do it because I figured if the face doesn't work out, I wouldn't finish the rest. But that's hardly ever happened. I always been able to salvage whatever it is I was working on. So we're going to just go a little bit and we're going to undercut it just like so. Same thing with the mitten here, the hand. Alright, same thing over here. We're just going to cut it, put a stop cut in both sides, and we're going to cut it out a little bit there, bring it down. Same thing with the mittens. And then I round this off just a tiny bit to get rid of the hard edges on it. Okay. It's not difficult to do. Once you get into a groove of how to do the hats and the eyes, the sky's the limit. Hello, Lynn, and hello, Peggy. So it works out pretty good. I'm just going to scoop this off out a little bit here. Same thing here. We're just going to get rid of that rough stuff. Same here, a little bit of that rough stuff out of here. There we go. Now I'm going to get rid of this rough stuff on the hat too, because that's got to go. I'm way behind on doing DVDs, but I hopefully will get all caught up before I go to the show in March. Because I need to get a lot of things done. I'll have a lot of knives ready by then. These knives that I'm working with now, I sold quite a few of these over the months, and I'll order some more. I still have some here yet. I'm going to round this off a little bit. And we're going to take this little hard edge off. There we go. You notice I don't like any square edges, so that's what I do. Alright, let me take a look here. Okay, right here we need to cut this off a little bit, round this down. Alright, now I want it to look like it's curved up a little bit, so I'm going to just go over this way, and I'm going to just knock that little piece out. See what a difference of 1 or 2 cuts can make on a piece. Alright, we're pretty well to a point where I need to put the brim. I think we'll finish this tonight. I have no idea what time it is, but I'm going to go ahead and finish it. So this will take a little longer than we normally do. It might take well over an hour. But I'm going as fast as I can possibly go to save time on the video. But at the same time, I want to make sure you get all the tips that you need to do one of these. Alright, I'll spray it again real quick. Just make it a little softer. And we're going to take the V-tool and we're going to start with his hat, with the brim of the hat. Oops. I shouldn't have done that. Alright. There's always a way of fixing things, folks. Usually. No. That hurts my hand. Hang on just a second. Let's see if I can sit this down a little bit more. I wouldn't normally expect you to hold it like this when you're doing the V tool. I'm just doing it because I can't hang on to it the other way as much. It's putting some tension on my tendons there. So I try to compensate where I can. Alright, that's what I wanted to get done. Alright, the other thing we're going to do, I'm going to take care of the hat in a second here, but the other thing we're going to do is put a couple of folds around this portion. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the V tool and we're going to go right up like so. Okay, that will look like a fold. And then we're going to spread it out behind him like that. Alright, we're going to do the same thing over here. We're going to put a fold in his robe here. I'm going to try to get my hand out of the way here. And we're going to go straight down on that one. Then the other thing you want to do is you want to do a couple other folds on the back side. Now see what I just did? This is a teaching moment here. I went deeper than what the V tool can do, and that's what happens. You'll rip it apart. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pry that open, and I'll just make that V cut with the knife instead. You can do it with the knife or you can do it with the V tool. And see where it's chopped up a little bit? I'm just going to trim that out. Alright? Same thing over here. You're going to go up. And I always go back over it with the knife. I always make it deeper. And then right here I'm going to just put another one in right here up to his arm. And there we go. Just to give it some character, you know, and all that. So I usually take it and I go across and I make those lines a lot more distinct. And sometimes I round them off a little bit, you know, because everything's not square when there's folds in your clothing and stuff. So take care of those hard edges. See how that's starting to look like it's just like a fold? There you go. And again, I'll take care of those hard edges, and it will look more like a flowing. See how that looks? Looks like it's folding into each other. And I do the same thing over here. And I'll cut that out a little bit more. And take care of those edges. There you go. Oops. Ow. I just stabbed myself. That's not good. Oh, that was a light stab. I don't think there's any blood. Good. Anyway, usually I have my other thumb covered, but all right. Let's do this side a little bit. You kind of want it all flowing together somehow, you know. You don't want a lot of hard edges and things like that. It just makes it a little nicer to see those folds. And you'll see that when you paint them too, right? You won't see it right away when it's not painted, but boy, I'll tell you, it makes a difference. So that's the folds that I have, okay? And then this is the foot. So the last couple of things we need to do is I need to do the, let me see if I can get up a little closer. I'm going to spray it one more time because I don't have water in this, so it dries pretty quick. I'm going to follow my hat, and I'm going to re-score the hat here. with a stop cut all the way around. There, whoops, there we go. And we're going to just start chopping away some of the hat here. Now if you want to put some folds in the hat, you can. I won't do it just to save time on this piece tonight. A lot of people do. They put folds in the hat. They put folds in the tassel. You know, this part of the tassel or this part of the hat. You can do that. I will actually put in, and I think I did it on this one. Let me show you what I did on this one. I actually put a couple little folds like it was folding over. So, you know, and that's perfectly okay to do too. So, where was I? Here I was. There I go. So, if you do one of these, will you please post it on Facebook so other people can see your work? Would be nice. I know the things have changed on Facebook. I have to approve it now. I was getting so much stuff that was not that it wasn't appropriate, but it wasn't, you know, it was more people trying to sell things that I try to prevent from posting, making sure it's appropriate. Alright, now, once I get that done, I go back over and, well, thank you, Jeff. Alright, there we go. Alright, so the hat's pretty well done. Now, remember, I don't like any hard edges, or square edges. Marvin wants to come in. Can you guys hang on just for a second? He's scratching at the door. Hello, Marvin. What are you doing? You want in? Okay. Go eat. Alright. Marvin is my cat. He's the barn cat, but he likes coming in and out. So, when it's cold, when it's real warm out, he loves being outside. When it's colder out, like it is tonight, he wants in. And he's hungry, so his food's inside. It keeps the raccoons away. And the possums. Alright. So that's how far we are now. The last thing we really need to do before we do all the texturing is two things. Let me think it over here. Okay. We have to put little, like, the ribbon around the package. So, there and there. Okay. What I do with that, I use my knife. I don't use the V-tool because it uses too much. So we're just going to go down like this. And we're going to come up like so. And what you want to do is kind of bring this down a little bit more. And then we're going to do the other side. Oh, that's a little crooked. Let me see if I can straighten that out a little bit. There we go. That looks a little better. And we're going to go down this way. I don't worry about those lines. Usually I tell you to take the pencil lines off because it can come through, especially if you're painting it white or even if you paint it red. But since we're painting it gray, I'm not worried about it. So you can leave it alone. Otherwise you start losing some of the ribbon, the depth if you start chopping all that off. So now I am taking the rough stuff off the other part, but I won't take it off the ribbon. It won't make that much of a difference. Some things you can compensate for. Okay, so there's our little package, all right? And the last thing we have to do is I have to make like a little hole here, like this is doing this here. So what I do is just take my knife from the top, stick it in, and I roll it down one side, stick it in, and roll it down the other side. And I try to clip it out in the center. There we go. Alright, so that's our little ribbon. Now sometimes if the ribbon's a little wider, I might do a little one in the back here just to make sure that it has a little depth to it. I can do a little bit of that. I don't know if I have room, but you get the idea. Now it looks like two ribbons behind each other. Alright, so now we're ready to commence with putting all the little stuff in. Well, the first thing I'm going to do first is I'm going to, let me take this back here just for a second because it's really hard for me to see. I don't have my glasses on, that doesn't help, and plus it's so far away for me to work with, where I'm used to having it like 8 inches from my face. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put three little cuts here to show like a little fold in his tassel. Yeah, it doesn't have to be real big, just a little cut. Okay, just like so. If I clean that up a little better, that would look better. Okay, there we go. Alright, so that's a little fold in the hat. The other little folds I do is right at the elbow here. 1, 2, and I think when you do it with the knife, it's a little crisper. You can do it with a V-tool, but you may not get it as thin and as detailed. So I'm going to do the same thing over here. Just all you do is hold the knife a little bit at an angle on each side, and then poke it more towards his beard. Okay, just like so. So it looks like folds in there. Now we're ready for the V-tool stuff. First thing I'm going to do is his feet. So I like to have it look like he has a little sole on his foot. And we'll do the other one as well. And I don't leave it this way. I usually take my knife, you'll see in just a second, to give a little more depth to it. I take my knife and I cut across from the bottom, going up from the bottom. And I just kind of round it in there a little bit more. Give it a little more distinct depth to it. See the difference? If you leave it like that versus cutting it in a little bit, it does make a huge difference. And I'm telling you folks, it's not how much you cut off. It's just a little bit that you have to cut off to make a big difference. Okay? It doesn't always have to be something huge. Let me take care of that. That's irritating me. Okay. So from there, now that the feet are done, now the boots are done, we're going to go ahead. He needs a couple of nostrils. Let me take care of his nose. His nose wasn't really done really super well today. So let me go back and kind of shape that up a little bit more. Yeah, there we go. All this little fussing I do on a piece, and you'll know what I mean by that. When people, let's see if I have the right tool here to do it. If I don't, I'm going to skip it. Oh, I do have the right tool. Here we go. Let's put a couple of nostrils in them. So I take my smallest little gouge tool, and I hold it up about half a circle up, and I push down and in. Okay? And to clean it up, I take my knife and I just pick his nose a bit. There we go. If you want to call it that. Alright, there you go. There's his nose. Perfect. So now we're going to do his cap. I'm going to show you part of the cap. I'm not going to show you all of the cap, just to save a little bit of time. and his tassel. So the first thing we're going to do is take the V tool, and I always go towards the edge. So it's I'm just going to do the front portion right now and show you what that looks like. Alright, and then I turn it upside down and I go the other way in the same angle, right to left. A little bit at an angle, it's always nice to see that. And really, your gouge really has to be sharp when you go across the grain, like what we're doing here. Okay, so once you get that done, you want to go ahead and do in between. Just like I've showed you several hundred times already. That's an exaggeration. A few times. When we do the gnomes or when we do any kind of Santa with a brim, I usually do the center last. I always do the outside first and kind of blend everything together, just like so. Alright? So if that's a little too pointy, you can go back over it a little bit more. Now when I do the tassel, I just go in a little bit of a circular motion, just like a spiral. What do you want? I'm talking to Marvin. What do you want? Okay. He's happy. He's done eating. Just like those spiral candies that you see. Mint candies. Same idea. And I just keep filling in the center. Alright, that's pretty well it. So that's how you do all of this all the way around. It's the same way. You just go from right to left, a little bit at an angle. Same thing when you do the bottom. You go a little bit at an angle and then you fill in the center. Now we're going to go ahead and finish up the beard a little bit here. So I usually start right underneath the nose. And this way. Towards the nose. And then I turn it upside down and I would do the bottom part of it. I do in between. Same thing here. And do everything in between here a little bit. Alright. There you go. Get the chips out of his eyes would help. Okay. Alright, now the same thing with this. I usually do it towards outward. So I'll have it going this way. And I'll go underneath the lip a little bit. Hopefully I'll have this up on YouTube by 10 o'clock tonight. Takes a little time for it to load and all that. And then I do the bottom part of the beard. And I like it spreading outward instead of down, so I do it this way. You know, as I crisscross a little bit, that makes it a little easier. And also, I always head it towards the ribbon there, the bow, or whatever you want to call it, the bow. couple of different sweeps up here. All right. So that's how that's done, and then I do a little bit on the cuff. Tiny bit one way, and then I turn it around the other way, and that usually finishes it up. And we'll do the same thing over here, a little bit. Go the other way. And we're almost done, folks. And I'll finish that up later when I get offline. But there you go. There's our Santa with the feet in the front. And I hope you enjoyed doing this. With the tassel being different, and no, I've done painting videos way in the beginning, 10 years ago, but people are more interested in the carving portion than they are in the painting, Rich. You know, if there's any other questions before I sign off, then we'll call it a night. Hopefully, we got it done in one night. I'll finish this up when I get off and waiting for it to load on YouTube. Well, I hope you enjoyed it, and then we'll figure out something to do next week. This is what it looks like. Feet in the front and the tassel swinging to the side here. All right, folks, thank you so much for joining me tonight, and take care and be careful this week. All right, take care. Bye-bye.